Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Curfew Boys podcast. Myself, Sammy, with my boys, Anthony, and my cousin, Chris.
Hey now,
Gentlemen. We are living in a snowy blizzard times here in the Montreal area. 35 centimeters of fuck.
hold on, whoa. 40 times 2, because they
40
never cleaned the fucking snow since Thursday, so we got a total of 80 centimeters in the last 4 fucking days.
Did they really? Jesus.
So I think they calculate 80 centimeters or 79.5 or something like that, whatever. It's still fucking a lot.
Since when? What was the other day? What was
Thursday.
It was Thursday, yeah. It was Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That's correct, yes. Yeah, well.
And another 5 tomorrow.
You know what, boys? Like, Chris, you and I are obviously in the same family. We've had the same grandparents. But, Anthony, I got to ask you this. Who convinced our grandparents that this country is the right country to live in?
I had the same exact conversation with my neighbors right now when we were shoveling. Who decided?
Who convinced them that in Italian, hey, go to Canada, like it's good, and like for sure, whoever that person convinced a bunch of Italians to jump on a boat and go across the pond and come to Canada. I'm sure those people were like, suckers. For sure, they said that because they wanted to get rid of a bunch of people. I'm convinced, guys. I would
love to see the first year of gardening. What's going on? Nothing's growing. We're starving. It's not funny, but fuck, that's probably the reality of what it was.
Listen, I understand Europe post World War II wasn't exactly the greatest area. I could only imagine what that was like. But Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. Our grandparents came here when? In 1950? What?
They came after the war.
1954?
I don't have the exact. I don't have the exact.
But give or take, what? 10 years after the war? Ish?
Yeah.
Ish, more or less, between 5 to... You know what I mean? Like, listen, whoever fucking could... that's some major convincing to fucking
maybe
pack
our
up
family
and
wasn't
leave.
that good with. Maybe our family wasn't that good with math. Like, I don't know. I find myself to be quite strong in math, but we were given the degrees like, we're 20 degrees higher north than we should have been. Land of opportunity, not 44 degrees, more like 20 degrees. Go closer to the equator. They miscalculated, I think.
They had to.
Navigator didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Also, like, weren't the 3 major options was go to Canada, go to America, which the East Coast, which is either Boston, New York, or go to like where Argentina. Well, there's a lot of Italians in Argentina. Yeah. No, we had to pick the fucking furthest north with the most fucking snow, with the most cold.
We had a fucking good winter. I mean, we're now February 16. We had 0 snow all year, and then I think everything we just missed out on just decided.
And it's
Mother
February.
Mother Nature's like, you know what? I didn't give you snow for the last 4 months. I'll give it to you all in 2 days and 80 fucking.
And I understand it's February, but yeah.
But we haven't had this. I don't know. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't seen something like this in 10 plus years.
2008.
We have not seen anything close.
It's crazy. Like, no, I don't recall a big snowstorm like this, but I mean. It's look, it is what it is. I'm proud to be Canadian, and I'm going to mention many reasons why following this episode. But yeah, no, today was a crazy day. Like, I'm lucky enough to live in a condominium right now, and the only thing I had to shovel was like my balcony, which is not even the size of this room from left to right. Like, it's around the same length, so just had to shovel the cars out a little bit in the parking lot, but nothing too crazy. So I cannot complain too much about the snow for now, but I'm curious to see what my commute to work is going to be like tomorrow. So yay.
Hardwood straight down. Don't even bother with the highways.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I actually take the lake road, but fuck, there might be certain areas where, because it's like there's an open field next to the road, there might have been a lot of, and it's right by the lake. There might be a bunch of snow patches that that just fill the road a little bit. But we'll see we'll see how that goes. So I guess we're gonna jump right into it. This full week, no NHL hockey like we're used to, but we're getting the Four Nations tournament. And I have to say, I need to give full credit to the NHL for setting this tournament up, even though it's only 4 nations, Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland. And I'm going to say this, and I don't even apologize. Montreal, we fucking own the game of hockey. We know how to do the game of hockey in this city. It's not even funny anymore.
Look, first off, yes, I want to give credit to the NHL for doing this. This is something that I love to see. I've always told you guys what I feel about the NHL, the love that I lost for it. Lack of passion on the ice sometimes. With salary, and some people just don't care. What we've been witnessing the last week is passion hockey. People are fucking playing. And you know what? Just the first game, the Sweden Canada game, I wasn't expecting what I was gonna see. I thought these players were gonna come there to have fun, right? It's Four Nations, just a small little tournament. It means nothing. There's no gold medal, no nothing. They're gonna try to keep themselves healthy for the NHL in 2 weeks because we're in crunch time for the playoffs. And just the first 5 minutes, I'm like, body checks, hits, like they're playing for the Stanley Cup. Yeah. And I did not, and especially yesterday's game with US Canada, we'll get to that. But I've never seen so much fucking passion, and I loved it. This is the hockey that I've always wanted to see. I fucking love it.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful hockey.
It's so good.
They're playing for pride. They're playing for pride.
There you go. There you go.
No salary cap. There's no money involved. There's no fucking. They're playing for pride of their jersey, and you're seeing players wanting to win. Even and we'll get into this too. The point system, the 3-2-1, that's also fucking fun to see. Winning in regulation to get the 3 point. Honestly, this is hockey that I've been waiting for a long time. You bring in this to the NHL, and you'll see me getting back the love that I've always wanted for the NHL.
That's interesting. That's an interesting take, and I like that you mentioned the point system, because this is an NHL and an NHLPA event. It's not a double IHF.
They're just testing it out.
Dude, thank you. I have a funny feeling that's exactly what they're doing. But also the reason why they're testing it out is because look what the women are doing. That's the point system for the women's hockey. Yeah. And I get they only have 6 teams. So it's a lot easy to gauge if it's working, if it's not. Is it are teams too close to each other? Or is the gap between the best team and the last place team too much? They're testing it out too, and don't kid yourself, folks. The CBA ends at the end of next season. I truly believe, Anthony, you took the words out of our mouth. This is a test. This is a big time test to see. They're testing out the point system. You know what else they're testing out? And I highly doubt the players are going to vote for this. They're testing out 10-minute overtime instead of 5. Yeah.
They were talking about, I think it was McKinnon who outright said, it should be maybe capped at 7 minutes, because he said they're gassed.
Oh yeah.
But in a certain sense, I genuinely, it's a coaching decision, but that's going to start to play into the game, because one of the reasons why I think a 10-minute overtime would be very interesting is it forces you to start engaging other players that don't necessarily get 3-on-3 overtime time regularly.
Right.
So, it's gonna shift the whole game all around. So I would really love to see more 3-on-3 and the longer 3-on-3 before we head to a shootout, because I'm not a big fan of the shootout. I'm a huge fan of the 3-on-3.
But do you think making these changes of the point system and more time and overtime will have the shift of mindset of shortening the season? Not by much, but now if you're going to give more, because these like you said it in our chat, the players need to vote for all this, right?
It's
Now,
it's
you're
it's
gonna
it
give
depends. Yeah,
players-
exactly. It depends who suggested. Is it the NHL our owners that are going to suggest these changes, or is it going to be players? That's one thing we don't really.
you
We
can do all these changes and have the 82 or plus games because, like Chris just said, you're gassing out the players.
Mhm.
The gap, okay, we'll get like I know you almost brought this up, Sam, about it's too soon to tell now because these games there's what 4 nations, 4 teams, and
Mhm.
it's a small tournament, so it's amazing to see because the gap, even with the losses, is still close. But long term, you might get that crazy gap, which the NHL does not
Yeah.
want. The whole point of this whole new structure with these standings and everything, Bettman wanted to see fights for the wild card spot, and that's
Yeah,
why
exactly.
you're gonna put the 3-2-1. You're not getting that anymore. But in an 82 game season, by
Mhm.
mid-season, you're going to see some big gaps. Whereas now we're almost at the end, and you're still fighting for what?
It's
Still,
close. It's still close. The Canadiens are still close. The Canadiens are not totally out of it, by the way.
they're not. But just to say,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll vote 100% to fucking shortening that season because to me, and I've said this during during COVID, the COVID season, during the lockout season, the 42 game season for me is just good hockey. Why? Because every game matters. Why do I love the NFL? Because it's 16 games. You get a 2-3 game losing streak, your season's over. So you're
Mhm.
playing every game like as if it's your last.
Yeah.
Not like in the NHL where you can lose all of fucking September, October, November. Come January, February, you can just wake up and just
And we've seen it. We've seen the Kings do it. We've seen
happen.
the Penguins do it. The St. Louis Blues.
And that's
Yeah,
what
I get it.
passion. I want look, the 4 nations. Why we're loving this is because it's a small tournament. It's only 3 games. Then you're going to the finals, right? So
Mhm.
every game fucking mattered. There's
Nope.
no movement for there's no room for error. And
Yeah, 1,000%. But I really think the owners, if they're not getting an 82 game season, they're gonna try to find a way to compensate for quote unquote money loss, maybe because they're gonna want to. They're gonna want to. They have to make their money, right? That's
what
the
it is.
business. Yeah, go Chris.
Sorry, no. I just wanted to specify as well that I don't think it's going to shorten. I don't think it's going to be a question of shortening the season. It's just that the guys who are playing in overtime, when we're talking about players being gassed, a 10-minute overtime is not going to change, or I don't think it should have any sway or impact on the number of games in a season. I'm just saying the players in a given game are going to have to be managed better. Like the coaches and the bench bosses are going to have to do. But um, again, I have a window right beside. For all of you, I recommend you turn your head, look out the window, at least for YouTube. I can't go with one single game less. These hockey games are literally there to support us and get us through these
But what about
horrendous winters here up north.
but what about this
yeah.
though? Like Nathan McKinnon suggests, like my God, 10-minute overtime periods where they're gonna tire us out real quickly. What if they were to do 2 periods of 5 minutes? That might make the game go a bit too long. I get that, but what if they do 5 minutes? If nobody scores, you take a little break, another like a commercial break, whatever you want to call it. Do another period of 5 minutes, three versus three, and if nobody scores, then maybe you go to a shootout. I'm just thinking. I'm
I
just
think
thinking off the top of my head over here.
No,
Instead of doing 10 minutes straight.
I don't see
it's a solid
10-minute.
proposition. It's just that, especially at the hour at which some of the games are being played,
Mhm.
I think they're worried about, let's say, retention. Okay, I mean, who turns off their TV when it's already in overtime? Like, if you've committed to watching the overtime, then you're going to watch the full thing. I just think also the legality of all of it, they have to kind of end it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's
Yeah.
why, like a shootout, I think they probably have the means to prove that if the game were to go on another couple minutes, if not a maximum of another 5 minutes,
Mhm.
I think they can pretty much prove at this point in time that there's a higher likelihood that the game will get resolved quicker because there's more
Yeah.
likelihood of a goal being scored
On
if
three
there's
on three.
additional time added versus the slowdown, believe it or not, of a shootout.
Yeah, it's all is going to be answered. All those questions are going to be answered when we find out what the new CBA is going to bring, what set of rules, what set of new rules, what's going to be removed. Again, the players and the owners, they have to come to an agreement. Like we can sometimes crap on Gary Bettman for there's some things he's done that we don't like. There's some things it's like he probably suggested something and the player's like, no, we want that instead. And he was like, the owner's like, okay, no problem, sign on it. So I don't want to open this can of worms regarding Gary Bettman. I know he said he wants to retire soon. There's two ways I see this happening. Either he's going to retire before negotiations begin just because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore, or he's going to retire once that's signed. He's going to probably sign out for 7 years. However, whatever laws are when it comes to signing union agreements, he's probably going to get that one done, and then that's it. Ciao, bye. That's how I think it's going to go with Gary Bettman. But that,
I really hope so. You know what? As much as we criticize him, and I don't always think that he's made favorable conditions for Canadian hockey teams. That's true. But where he took this league and what he's been able to do with it, especially with the American market, has led to the betterment of the all around, like the whole game itself. I'm hoping that we have maybe, all I'm saying is I'm hoping that we have a few regulation changes and certain things that are going to favor Canada a little bit more. Maybe that's just a sentiment. Maybe that's leaning more a little bit towards Anthony with the conspiracy side of things. But I would not be opposed to Gary Bettman signing off in the last CBA before he leaves.
We'll see. We'll see what that happens. But one thing, I got to give him credit for bringing this tournament. I truly believe was it the World Cup of Baseball this past summer that just drew, like, it just brought in a whole set of fans and all that almost worldwide. And I get hockey's not as worldwide as baseball is, but still, like, good on him for bringing an international tournament like this, best versus best. Like Anthony said, that passion is back. For people who are thinking that the players won't be as into it or fans won't be into it, oh my God, you cannot be any more wrong than this. Like,
well, I thought when we first started, I thought it was going to be like the All-Star game.
I knew it was going to be a lot more intense than the All-Star game, but this was
this is NHL hockey. This is Stanley Cup Finals.
These guys want to do anything they can to wear their country's jersey.
Yeah.
Anything. It doesn't matter where they're from. Like, anything they do. And from the freaking get-go, that Canada-Sweden game, like, if those who were at the arenas, like, I am so jealous and envious because you got to see a treat of watching Crosby making that backhand no-look pass to Nathan McKinnon. Like the Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche, and fuck, you know what? Even the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, you don't realize how fucking good you have it. And those players, they deserve to play in a market like Montreal, man. Can you imagine one of those guys wearing the jerseys behind me, like, in front of the fans that the Bell Center brings? Oh,
Demidov soon. You got to realize that. But to that point, and Anthony's point, if we merge them both together, this would be, I know they would not do it, but this would be an argument to have more of these international tournaments versus having all-star games. Maybe the all-star game is once every 2 years and they have an international competition because, like you said, what it means to the players and the obligation to, and the privilege, but also obligation to represent your country properly has been bringing about some of the best hockey. Like yesterday, just the sentiment building up to the game.
Oh my God.
Whether it was like all around the hockey world basically came to a standstill. Sammy, we joined up last night at the restaurant, and I'm not kidding. We were driving. Wanted to be responsible. Took an Uber yesterday. As I'm like, I had a little bit more time to look around. We're driving by homes. I'm looking into, like, obviously a lot of living rooms are right at the front of the house, so you can kind of look in and peek in. I think we drove past like six different homes where it was just, you could outright see everybody watching hockey, like the hockey world
Yeah.
genuinely came to a standstill yesterday, and what we got treated to, regardless of the result, was something very, very, very special. And contrary to the snooze fest that is the All-Star game, it was something that was very, very refreshing. And I think it's going to bring about the question as to whether or not this has to be an annual or biannual
It
occurrence.
is.
My only concern, and again, I'm not opposed to all this because I want it. The passion we got, the intensity we got, is what I've always wanted to see. So instead of that stupid snooze fest with the All Star game, especially the All Star game, completely changed. I mean, it's just it's
Yeah.
an entertaining, it's a gimmick for just to satisfy the kids watching the sport and whatever. But what concerns me about this intensity and these tournaments for the league, and maybe we haven't seen it yet because it just started and it hasn't happened yet, but knock on wood, injuries that affects
Yeah.
teams. Like, God forbid, some like next year they want to do this again, and you have the Montreal Canadiens fighting for playoff spot come February and March. There's one more month left of hockey, guys. The playoffs is in 1 month. Your team is fighting for that spot. Suzuki gets called to be for, to play for this tournament, or Caulfield or whatever. And then you have Hughes saying, you know what? No, I don't want Suzuki going there because I need him healthy for the fight of the playoffs. That could start happening. And then you're going to have, tension between players and GMs or the league. And that's the only concern I have with this kind of tournament. Not that I don't want it, but something that the league won't want to keep seeing, because that can affect a team's performance for the playoffs.
Yeah, but
Theodore?
players are aware of it. Players are aware, like they don't. It's an opportunity for them to probably. It's a childhood dream of theirs to don the Team Canada jersey or
I would put
Finland
this
or like
tournament-
they. Yeah,
But I would put this tournament right after the playoffs.
or at the beginning. No, they're the guy. The play. I'd put it at the beginning. I would do like they did in 2016. The World Cup of Hockey was in the month of September. You had no training camp, but you had and that's what. To Chris's point too, we're going to be seeing international tournaments. Well, they're going back. They're going back to the Olympics next year. NHL players are going back. That's probably going to be in, I guess, well, if it's going to be the winter, so that's probably in the month of February, kind of like it is now. 2028, they announced World Cup of Hockey is coming back. The last time we had that was in 2016, and when they did do that, it was at the beginning. I don't remember if there was much of a training camp, but they did that in the month of September, which was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. That tournament was so fantastic. And they won't do this again, but they won't bring back Team Europe and Team North America. But at that time, it worked out perfectly. And you saw the Nathan McKinnon, the Jack Eichel, the Austin Matthews, and the Connor McDavid show for Team North America, because it was players all under 24. Can you imagine that, going all the way back? But no, that tournament was fantastic. And Anton, I think that concern of yours, they bring it at the beginning of the season. You reduce to no training, no preseason. You get rid of preseason games, but you have this tournament.
Yes,
I think that's the direction. Don't forget, it's an NHL and NHLPA event, so I have a feeling that's going to be the route they're going to take.
I absolutely love what you just said. Look what happened. Look what happened this year.
Yeah.
Line A, and it's a perfect.
Line A and Reinbacker, same game. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. It's just you don't take any time to have these secondary players who are never going to make the NHL roster.
Mm-hmm.
When you have those preseason games, you're all in. So you get good quality preseason games, no risk of or lower risk of any sort of stupidity, and they're a lot don't get me wrong. If the players are also playing an international tournament right before coming into the season, they're going to be. I think that's going to be a great warm up, and they're going to come out of the gate flying.
I think so. Oh, totally. You could reduce the risk of unnecessary injuries from a minor league player that wants to prove something to his general manager and his coaches, and he takes out a guy he wasn't supposed to by not being there in the first place. But no, for sure. But this is a part of the conversation that I actually enjoy, because this tournament could open up, hopefully, some doors to much better hockey and reach a much wider audience. We talked about the last few times, even in our own group chats, how the NHL needs to market this game a little more. I think this tournament right now, I think it's starting to open the eyes of a lot of people, hopefully globally. A lot of it has to do with political bullshit behind the scenes, and we'll get to that later. But I'm ready to jump right into the games. Like, man, the Canada Sweden game, what a way to open up the tournament. It's like, I thought Canada had this in the bag, but were any of you scared that Sweden might actually win this one in overtime when they went into it?
They almost did. I mean, yes, they came back, tied 3-3, and Bennington saved 2 amazing saves
Yeah,
right
he
before that
did.
Crosby play. Right before that, 2 easy goals were going in. Like,
how did you guys feel about Rudy? This is a question for all Habs fans listening here. How did you all feel rooting for a Brad Marchand goal and then a Mitch Marner goal in overtime?
I mean, when you're playing for your pride of your country,
yeah,
these things don't matter anymore, right? I mean,
that's true. That's true.
It sucks to cheer for someone like Marner and Marchand, but when you're wearing your Canadian pride, I mean,
you put that aside for a bit.
Put everything aside.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. It's weird. It was totally weird how we even put out a tweet saying like
we'll hate them next week.
That's it. Like, we put out a tweet saying like this gotta be the weirdest feeling of rooting for almost the 2 superstars of your most hated rival, like within the Montreal Canadiens rivalry. It's like, but Sidney Crosby, that first game, like, it was his show. It was a Sidney Crosby show. The first game.
This guy, whenever he dons the Team Canada jersey, like, just a special human being. I think, honest to God, I think there's an argument to be made that he's the best all-time, all-around hockey player.
Yeah,
I know you're gonna say like, what the heck? There's Gretzky, there's Lemieux, there's Yager.
At least of our generation, that's no doubt.
Yeah, he is just such a winner. Like, this guy is born to win. Anything with regards to hockey, he is just. It's mind-boggling because he's 37 now.
Yeah,
36.
He's a year older than me and Anthony are the same age. Yeah, he's like 37.
Yeah, August. It's August 7th, 1987. So it's 87, 87. All that to say is, Crosby's always delivered on the national stage, but I don't think there's anybody that has done it like him. And the funny thing is, I'm hoping I'm not jinxing anything or bringing anything about, but it's like I'm confident that the guy's going to find a way to win. Like, the guy just he's not meant to lose when he's playing for Canada. So we'll probably be seeing the States in the final, and I can't freaking wait.
I'm ready to jump into that, but before we do talk about the showdown, Canada versus USA, like, Saturday in Montreal was I called it. It was literally International Rivalry Day, and I was fortunate enough to go to the first game of the day in the afternoon to witness Sweden versus Finland. And don't kid yourself, folks. Sweden and Finland, they got a rivalry of their own, and it's been like this for years, right? And fuck, like Victor Hedman, and I love him, but what he said, we're the bigger brother to Finland, like, oh my God, that for sure, that set off Patrick Laine to begin with, and I'm sure the rest of the guys of Finland. Guys, I was there. I was like mid row, almost dead center ice, row H. And fuck, what a treat. And I get it's not Canada versus USA. I wasn't there for that. I get it. But I still got to see like some of the best players in the league in both Sweden and Finland. And Jesus Christ, man, these guys are like Philip Forsberg for Sweden is so good. Like, Nashville is lucky to have him. Hate him all you want. Montreal Canadiens, we could hate William Nylander for wearing the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, but Jesus Christ, he's a hell of a player, man. When you see him up close and what he does with the puck and how he moves and protects it, he's an unreal player. Rasmus Dahlin is so good, guys. He is so freaking good on defense. I wish, I would hope to God, like, I know we have Lane Hudson. I love Caden Gooley too. But my God, Rasmus Dahlin is like, there's a reason why this guy was a number 1 overall pick as a defenseman. He's so goddamn good. Erik Karlsson still impressed me. Like even him too. He's getting older, but the guy still got it. On Finland's side, I actually,
Markov.
I
Let's
hold
start.
on. I really enjoyed Laine's game. I thought he was engaged. Who else are there? Sebastian Aho tried a lot, but he just somehow couldn't get his game going. But he's still a great player. And too bad Miro Heiskanen got injured because he was one guy I would have loved to have seen on defense. Alexander Barkov, guys. I wish Joey was here for just this one moment, and then after he could piss off. But Alexander Barkov has to be the best 200-foot centerman in the game right now. Patrice Bergeron is gone. Alexander Barkov, guys, is so good. I like if Nick Suzuki could be a third, and we all love Nick Suzuki. I'm not shitting on him whatsoever. Nick Suzuki is a great centerman for this team, but like Alexander Barkov, like he's, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a debatable topic to consider him probably the best 200-foot centerman out there with the McKinnons, with McDavid, with Austin Matthews, even with Sidney Crosby. He is so good. He is so fucking good, man. Just the way he's not the greatest skater ever. He's not super fast, but he controls the puck perfectly. The way he places himself, the way he back checks, like we were in for a treat. And in the crowd too, like Europeans, man, they know how to chant for their team. There was a lot of Europeans in that crowd. There was a lot of Finnish fans, a lot of Swedish fans. It was so cool. It was so cool to see. I really, really, really enjoyed that game. I don't know if you guys catched it, but obviously Finland ends up winning it. Patrick Laine two assists.
Granlund.
Yeah, Mikael Granlund. It's so funny. Before he scored, there was a play I saw. I thought he should have gotten off the ice because he would have. I thought he was gonna kind of hurt the chance, but then he got the puck back and he ended up scoring. So it all worked out in the end. Patrick Laine 2 assists, was named second star of the game, and that was the first event. Oh my God, I don't even know where to begin. Canada, USA, I
want to see a rematch.
We'll get it.
I think we will. I think we will, guys. And we're going to get them on their turf this time in Boston. But before we go into it, I don't recall ever having there was always a rivalry with the Americans when it came to hockey. You know, to me, it could go all the way back to 2002, the Olympics in where was it? Was it in
Salt Lake City?
It was in Salt Lake City. Thank you. I had Lake Placid in mind. I don't know why. Salt Lake City, 2002. Like to me, I remember watching that game. I remember Lemieux faking it between his legs to Korea. Korea scores. Jerome McGinley had a big game. And then, you know, that Bob Cole announcement when Joe Sakic scores that goal. Surely that's got to be it. You know, I remember those Olympics. I remember that game. The 2010 Olympics, I remember that even more. Like that in itself was a rivalry game. It was perfect. Sid the Kid obviously scoring the golden goal. The World Cup of Hockey, like I remember just Canada just brushed them off because the Americans, they put together a bad team. They really they didn't put together a team of skill and talent. They put a team of grit and force that just had absolutely no chance against Canada. But I don't recall those games or those matchups ever having how do I say this, like a political reasoning. No, it was I don't think there was no
transcending the
hold
game
on a
right
sec.
now.
There was never any political reasoning behind it. This is the first time ever, and I think we're kind of going through what maybe what our parents in the 70s were going through watching Canada versus the Soviet Union with the Canadian Summit Series. You know, maybe the Americans with the Miracle on Ice, what they were going through with the Soviets at that time too. this is the first time, and like it's unfortunate it's got to be with our neighbors down south here, but like my God, like the intense build up to this game, it's insane. It's literally insane. And
we also haven't seen this rivalry in 10 years, right? I think the last time USA Canada played
it was probably the World Cup. It was probably the World Cup of hockey. Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Also another build-up, right? We haven't seen that.
True,
in 10
true,
years, so.
true.
But NHL players, I mean, we've seen
yeah, for sure,
juniors and everything, but we haven't seen NHL.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, 1,000%. And the puck drop, they didn't disappoint.
Look, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. I know that some of the boys who are not here present on the show, I know Adri didn't particularly. He said, "Okay, that's not hockey." Joey said something very similar. To me, I'm gonna go back to the word that I used about a moment ago. It transcends the game. There are so many different things that are going on right now in the world. That a lot of that frustration was channeled right into the game. We're going to get into, I think, Sammy, you wanted to cover a little bit.
Yeah, I do.
We'll jump into it in a second, but the booing of the national anthems, but that raw emotion, I don't think that was a question of. I don't even think it was a question of it being about the game. I think the fights actually helped calm the game down in the first place to allow the boys to play, because I think
think so.
Just,
it set the
there's
tone,
so
though.
much.
It set the tone.
It set the tone, but there was so much frustration, like in the air. If you're an American player and you're hearing the boos coming down during the national anthem, you're frustrated. You feel disrespected. You're not happy. There's a whole bunch of things. If you're Canadian, well, all you have to do is turn on the news in the past month or so, and there's been tension. There's been even worry in a certain sense. There's been worry in the air, and these guys are pretty much. You think about it, these guys, we're not going to go to war with one another. We're neighbors, once
no.
neighbor to the north, neighbor to the south. But this was an opportunity to kind of say, like, I'm pissed off with you guys. You're pissed off with us. We're gonna like not even waiting a second. The first thing that happens, 3 fights within the first 9 seconds. I thought that was something special.
Oh, totally. And you knew it was coming from the Kachuk brothers. Like you knew the way they set the tone for their first game. You knew they were going to do something about this one. They were waiting for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Fuck Brady Kachuk, especially that he's an Ottawa Senator. But those two, though, like I thought about it today, those two are genuinely something else. They are something else.
Put. Okay, listen. I have to put the Montreal Canadiens fan in me aside from what I'm about to say. I would take Brady Kachuk on my team any day. I would take Matthew Kachuk on my team any day. They're gamers. They're absolute gamers, and they're not selfish players, man. They play for their team and their teammates.
I think they're owed what you're saying. Sam, I think they're owed just a little bit more. I think they are the pinnacle. Like, I think they are the 2 players in the league that drag the whole team into the respective battle, and they're like old-fashioned kings on the front of the line, leading the charge. Like they are really. You said they're gamers. I'm saying they are the best gamers within the NHL at this point in time. Hands down.
1,000%. Like, and you know what? Canada puts in Sam Bennett to kind of deal with them, and he's the one that dropped the gloves with Brady. During the warm-up, Matthew Kachuk skated by Hagel and said something to him. So I saw that. I'm like, oh, something might happen. I wasn't expecting the Parayko versus TJ Miller fight, but apparently the 3 of them had a chat the night before, and they're like, guys, we got to do this. And rightfully so. I think without going too much into that, but like, yeah, for sure the Kachucks went in there thinking like, we got to set the tone out, just because, like you said, they probably don't like at all the American national anthem getting booed and all that. But before I get to that, I just want to talk about the game a little bit. that Connor McDavid goal should have. I felt like Team Canada should have never let go of the gas pedal even after that goal, because I get the Binnington goal. Really, the Binnington goal that I forgot who was that score. Was it Jake Gensel? I think it was Jake Gensel.
Yeah, it was Gensel,
Yeah,
and then
it
it
was
was
Gensel.
Dylan Larkin,
Then it
and
was Larkin.
both of those goals, Sam, were weak as shit.
Yeah, but I'll give Larkin, I'll give Binnington the benefit of the doubt on the Larkin shot, because it was a beautiful shot. Those shots are hard to stop between the blocker and the pad. That first goal, he had to stop that. But you look at the rest of the game, like Team USA, fucking they shut down everybody. They gave them no chances, because otherwise the shots were close. Like Hellebuck made big saves during the power plays.
There was a big shutdown. The Canadians were not able to enter the zone properly.
No, they weren't.
Just they were a wall. And I think they played very conservative. I think, like you said before, the 3 fights at the beginning was to set the tone, but I think it calmed the game a lot, because remove those 3 fights, we probably would have seen that all along the whole game.
It could have been out. The game could have gone out of line. I agree with that statement.
Back and forth game. It would have been potential overtime game. A lot of penalties. All that stuff would have happened. I believe that's the game we would have seen. I think the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds was, hey, let's just get our shit out of the way.
Yeah.
And let's play fucking hockey. And US, it sucks to say this. I don't want to say this because, Canadian pride, but the US came out to play. They said.
Oh, they did.
They came out. They let out their frustrations at the beginning, saying, let's have fun for the first 9 seconds. Fuck it. Let's get it all out. After those 9 seconds, it was, now it's time to play hockey. You're not coming into my territory. And that's what they did all game.
Yeah.
They just shut us down.
1,000%. But there were 2 things I really noticed, is that, so for this game, the game against the US, because game 1, it was almost all of the Crosby show, a little bit of Nathan McKinnon, and then obviously Marner got the game winner. But I really felt like for this game, Connor McDavid needed to make a statement. And he did by scoring that first goal. But I think we needed more from him. And he could have delivered, but he was very unselfish this game. He made so many unnecessary passes that, like, he could have, like, there was at least 2-3 times where, like, he made these lateral cross ice passes to nobody on the backhand, when he could have given it to an open Mitch Marner on his right side. And then there was a specific 2-on-1 where McDavid had a clear shot and he decided to pass, but I forgot who the defenseman was that was lying on the ice and blocked the pass. Like, McDavid, there's times like he needs to be a little bit more selfish, because like he could do it, man. We all know what he's capable of doing. That's one thing I noticed. And the one time Sidney Crosby makes a mistake, that's what caused the turnover for Dylan Larkin to get the puck and to score that second goal. And if we all know Sidney Crosby like we think we know him, like, he knows that he messed up. He knows that caused the game winner. It's not just on him, but because of that, like, I have faith in Crosby and I have faith in Canada that they're going to beat Finland Monday afternoon, or like at 12:30. And I'm confident that they're going to return in the finals against the States and Boston on their own turf. But it was announced today that John Cooper's going back with Binnington. I think a lot of Canadian fans are freaking out. They're unsure. I don't blame them. But otherwise, yeah, in the third period, like Anthony said, the Americans played conservative, but they shut them all down. Right now, they have a chip on their shoulder for 2 reasons. I think it's because, look, the booing of the national anthem, and also for their friend and brother Johnny Gaudreau. Like, I think those are the 2 big reasons why they're not only playing well, but they want to win this badly for, obviously, USA pride, American pride, and for Johnny Gaudreau. So yeah. So yeah, well, you see it. They hand out the player of the game award for them is a USA jersey of Johnny Gaudreau, and they wear it like Brady Kachuk wore it, And yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh man, it's going into an uncomfortable territory here, and I've been thinking about this all day on how to say this regarding the subject of booing the American national anthem. I'm not gonna get controversial, I promise. I'm gonna speak from the heart. I'm gonna, and if you guys want to venture in on this, you can as well. But there's just one thing I really want to say regarding the booing of the American national anthem. Like Chris said earlier, like since since President Donald Trump came in, there's the whole threat of making Canada the 51st state, and then there's the tariffs being put onto us that could cause an economical war and blah blah blah. Whatever the motives are behind all of those things, I'm not here to discuss about that. That's a topic for off-air topics. It could be between us, people. Why do we think he's doing all this within our government? I'm not here to talk about that. But the reality is, since those things have been happening, it's making Canadians on the general pissed off. And then even before this tournament happened, across Canada and the other arenas in the NHL, the American national anthem was getting booed. Okay. I'm going to speak for myself here. I'm a proud Canadian. Look, I even have it here. I wore this on purpose. I'm a proud Canadian. I'm not worried about Canada getting taken over by the United States. I'm not worried about that. It's never going to happen. I don't care what anybody says. It's not going to happen. And as much as I hate what's going on between the two countries, fuck Canada and the United States, we've fought wars together. We fought and died together for the very freedom we have today. World War I, World War II, fuck the war on terrorism. We took in American airlines into Canada after the attacks on America during 9/11. Like, I still believe we're allies. But I hate, I again, takes nothing away. I don't like the way we're being treated by a certain president. Despite that, I'm just talking about me here. If I was at the game, I would not have booed the national anthem, because to me, the American national anthem, the Canadian anthem, fuck, I think almost every country's national anthem is based around those that fought, bled, and died for that country, for whatever freedom they were trying to fight for, independence, whatever it is, and what can still currently go on today. You know, so for me, the American national anthem, the Canadian national anthem, for me, it represents those that bled and died for this nation, past, present, future. So that's the reason why I respect the Canadian military. I respect the American military as well. I'm just speaking for me. I wouldn't have booed. Would my form of protest be usually when I go to the sporting events, I actually sing the American national anthem. I sing the Canadian afterwards a little louder. Would my form of protest be not to sing the American national anthem at all? Probably. I say this now in the comfort of my own home. I don't know if I maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I know for certain I wouldn't boo it. I wouldn't boo the American national anthem. And I'm just gonna say this. I'm not here to preach to our listeners, to our viewers. At the end of the day, people are gonna do what they want to do. They're gonna do what they want. Sometimes it takes one rotten apple to start the whole crowd going. All that to say is I get the side of the Americans not liking it. Because if they were booing our national anthem, if Americans were booing the Canadian national anthem, I think I'd be upset. I think we all would be upset as Canadians. So I get Americans being displeased of their national anthem being booed. But don't get me wrong, I'm a proud Canadian, and I get why Canadians are booing the American national anthem. There's so many people on Twitter, social media saying, listen, America, we're not booing you as your country. We're not booing the players. We're booing your president.
See, but see, okay.
I
This is where I'm going to interject. And I'm
know
not
it's
here to
fine.
start a debate.
I don't even know. I don't even know what to think, Anthony, on this.
No,
I
no.
don't even know what to think about this. To
So
be honest with
couldn't
you.
say everything you just said, you couldn't say it any better. Okay?
Thank you.
Everything you said. So I don't want to get into everything you said because you said it right. You know, like we're proud Canadians. We still respect the Americans after everything we've done for them. We're still out. Like, all that is whatever. But like you said before, the national anthem is a sign of respect for the country, of the wars, the blood and the sweat that we've done, whatever, right? What's going on now is coming at the moment, because it's still fresh, by one guy.
Yeah.
A new president who has his own mindset came in. I don't believe, like, I get, we're all allowed to be angry or mad about what's going on. As Canadians, me, myself, like, I'm disappointed of what's going on. But am I going to generalize the whole U.S. for that? And am I going to go disrespect? Like, you said before, like, I understand we're all mad, like the Americans are mad and the Canadians are mad, but I do not understand the booing, because I would understand if all Americans, like every single United States American person, is fucking shitting on us and doing, like, they're, publicly destroying Canadians, then you know what? Fuck you. But right now,
That's not
you're
the case.
basing yourself on political situations by one fucking guy right now.
Yeah.
One guy who has his mind of his own and causing all this craziness. But again, it's still fresh. It's still right now. Nothing has happened yet. It's just all talk. And what, you're gonna boo an anthem, a country after years of history
together as allies? Yes, absolutely.
So that's where I disagree with. I understand the booing. No, I don't understand the booing, because right now at this moment, there's no reason to boo. There's no reason to boo any fucking country. Because
1,000%. I don't agree with it. I guess the only thing I could say is, like, I see
to protest it, like you said,
for sure.
Boo and disrespect years of history of a country that helped us and we've helped them, and now because this fucking clown that comes in again, I don't want to get into politics.
So
you know what, bad in this guy, but I don't want to talk politics to offend anybody, because we have listeners from the U.S., listeners from the Canadians. So
absolutely,
there's good and bad in Trump. I'm in the middle here, but I don't want to get into that conversation. But to boo a national anthem in a country because of this guy here right now is far from respectful, and us Canadians should not. And again, you said it takes one bad apple to start. And you know what? When we see these protests on the streets, like when the Habs won the playoffs, and then we have these breaking things. You start generalizing the whole city. Oh, Montreal.
Exactly.
No, it's fucking.
It doesn't represent. It doesn't or paint the bigger picture.
Exactly. So these boos might be just a bunch of fucking kids who are there, 16, 17-year-olds, just
being drunk in stupor, and
that's exactly it. Why you're going to generalize Canadians as a whole? Again, I just don't. And I'm speaking for myself. Everybody has their opinions, but I don't think there's the booing of the national anthem should not be done.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. I forgot who it was from, but he got a text, and that from a player, an American player, and the player is staying anonymous. And the player was saying, "I really hate the fact that the American national anthem is getting booed." And then the guy responded saying, "Yes, I don't like it either, but how would you feel if your nation was being, quote unquote, threatened to become the next state of that country, or imposing these tariffs on you that could ruin your economy and all that, like, and insulting your leader, president, prime minister, whatever, by calling them governor?" And then the American wrote, he's like, "Okay, now I understand where majority are coming from." And he goes, "I wouldn't only just boo the anthem. I would have done a lot more, not worse things." I'm misquoting here, but basically saying I wouldn't only be booing that anthem. Like, he went on to say, like, I think from what I read, it's like he would have done more than just booing. So it's so unfortunate that it's come down to this. It's going beyond the game of hockey, and this is probably gonna be the first time of our generation that we go through this. Like I said, the Summit Series, Canada versus the Soviet Union. There was for sure some political stuff behind that as well at that time. We obviously weren't around to know and feel it. But it's just unfortunate that it cannot be just about hockey. And now I'm so curious to see, now that the tournament is shifting over to Boston, like I'm curious to see what that crowd's gonna do.
And one last thing, because I know Chris has to say something, but I just don't want to lose my train of thought, so I apologize, Chris.
Yeah.
But just to back to that, like, we're in a generation where, and I might be generalizing, but it's a fact that we're in a generation where people just take one thing from social media and just
Exploded. They
run with it.
yeah, for sure.
There's so much more happening behind the
1,000%.
scenes,
Yeah.
bigger than this stupid tariff talk. I know it sucks, but I don't want to get into it. But there's a lot more to that. The 51 day, there's a lot more to that, and yet you're just pinpointing on that just to start something and explode on it. And
Dude, it's like Montreal Canadiens Twitter. That's
exactly,
it's the same thing.
and you're just like, but you said something before, Chris. Okay, you were looking out the window during these 2 weeks of no hockey, and we want sports because it's our escape.
Yeah,
right?
1,000%.
Sports for us fans is an escape.
Yeah.
From whatever's going on in the world, politics, your personal life, your home, outside your home. We watch sports and TV just to get distracted from what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck are we putting politics into this?
Yeah.
Yes, I get it's Canada versus US, but we're at this game watching fucking hockey.
Yeah.
So to boo the national anthem, like, come on, like, enough. Like, take politics, put it aside. And the only people that should fucking talk politics are people that understand and know what the fuck is going on, because there's a bunch of goons that just get one fucking thing and then just talk about it. But then you talk to them and say, well, do you know about this and that? Oh, no, I didn't know about this. So shut the fuck up. Anyways, I don't want to get into it. Chris,
I think
it's
a perfect
conversation.
It's those hockey goons.
Fucking anthem, okay?
It's those hockey goons you're talking about.
I think, and I think your statement rings so true, and I'm gonna be neutral and lean both ways. You've had a president who said some pretty unfair things about Canada, and we're a proud country. There are implications to the statements that are made, and on our side, let's be honest with ourselves, we have a lot of political problems. But again, this is not a political discussion. It's just to say the problems that we are having are purely political. Our leader is failing, and their leader is failing, and they should be meeting at a table. As you said, it's a means of escape. It's a means of, bringing out the best in people's competitive nature. And honestly, it's such a shame that that political bullshit is leaking into sports. I was just about to say we're playing arguably the most honorable game with some of the most honorable athletes in any professional sport.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's so sad. It's just so sad. Leave the fighting to the two kingpins in charge, and that's it.
Well, the only
hockey's
fighting,
a separate matter.
I want more fighting on the ice, to be 100% honest with you. Like, because I get like Chris Nyland enjoyed that. Like, the guys at Empty Netters were in the Bell Center. Spitting Chicklets podcast, they were in the Bell Center. Like, man, politics aside, they got to witness, Montreal got to witness such an incredible game, despite the loss on the Canadian side. You know what I hope this tournament does, though, now that it's done in Montreal? I hope that all these players, they see how great it is to play in Montreal, that if it doesn't spark, let's say it doesn't spark them exactly, it might spark their friend who's an excellent player to be like, yo, really think about coming in here. They practice in Brossard. They for sure got to see the complex. They were for sure treated well by Molson and the Montreal Canadiens organization too. Like, they got to see the mecca of hockey, and I really hope it inspires anybody, some of these star players, to come to Montreal and play here.
It's couldn't say any better, because in this whole CBA coming to an end and changes, maybe that's something that can spark up changing the whole salary thing and getting paid American or Canadian, the tax bullshit. Because if that can, change, more and more players are going to want. Because
Maybe.
again, we all said it. Players don't want to come here. Good chunk of it, not the media put aside, because I think that's getting better a little bit here in the Canadian media. Still not the best, but still better than what we had in the past. But the biggest reason is also money, right? These guys want to get paid, and when they come here, they're losing 52% of it, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, something around there.
So, but if that can change and everybody gets paid the same way and they don't get tax affected, then you said it, Sam. Playing in this building, the way the league and Molson did it, could maybe spark up these players to want to play here. But one thing I want to say that I'm very disappointed in Molson and our management is, and I had this conversation with a friend of mine, season opener, Montreal, Toronto, and you saw it in, how do you say it? In the documentary of the Montreal Canadiens, where last year's home opener wasn't a great ceremony, and this year they were hoping to make it better.
Yep.
And I was at this game, and it wasn't better. And I think they could have done a lot more. And they did it here at the tournament, with all those flashing lights.
It was sick. The light show was insane.
But it was yesterday. The Bell
awesome.
Center, already the Bell Center is one of the best places to be in.
Yeah.
But what they did at this tournament with the lights and the ceremony and this and that, it was fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah, it was great. Oh,
why
my God.
didn't you do that for our own fucking team?
Well,
I
you gotta realize
you live and
gotta
learn.
realize that it's probably league sponsored as well. It's not out of
It's not
Molson's
just
pocket. So
yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
But the one
you think
thing,
they're lacking money though.
no, they're not. They're
beer?
not lacking money. But yeah, they can. They could probably pour
Beer
a
they
little
do
bit
make.
more into it. Talking about Montreal doing it best, when you hear everybody, and I'm talking especially the Toronto sports media who are congratulating Montreal on the way that they were doing, they organized this. That's something. But one of the other points just to bring up is there are some great buildings in the league. There really are, like the Winnipeg Jets with the white out in the playoffs. Yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights, which I think entertainment wise, I don't think anybody beats them. In terms, again, sheer entertainment, put on a spectacle. Then you have, let's say, places like Nashville who get rowdy. They have an interesting fan base. But I do not think that there is a building in the league and fans in the league that come close to understanding the game as Montreal does. I think it's something
1,000%.
special. And I think the players know that, and they're just like, holy shit, the people here are so in tune with every small little detail, whether it's too many men on the ice, whether there's something going on behind the play. Like, I think we really, really, really have something special going here. And I'm hoping that the tournament. I'm really hoping that the tournament wraps up in a nice way for us. But I do think that this was a nice little expose to the rest of the league to say, don't even try. There's Montreal, and then there's the rest of you guys, wherever you want to rank yourselves.
Yeah. So look, it's not over for Canada. They still got to face Team Finland. They need to win in regulation. If they do, they will face the Americans in the finals in Boston. And hopefully they do it with Cale Makar this time. I forgot to mention, Canada without Cale Makar, because he was sick, but he's going to come back. No Shea Theodore, Chris, you mentioned it. So I want to save up for the final result before talking, analyzing, and maybe even criticizing the lineup for Team Canada. I want to wait. I think it's best that we wait for this thing to be over before we get there. But hopefully Cale Makar comes back, and I think he will, and a much stronger start, or a better start, or a better overall game from our boys, from the superstars. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see. And if we could beat them in their own turf, oh my God, that would be sweet. But all due time, we'll wait and see.
We have our gut feels within the family. I know we've called some weird crap in advance a few times. I'm not kidding. Yesterday, leading up to the game, I had a feeling that the USA was going to win, but that we were going to take it in the end. I didn't want to say it.
It's not the first time it's happened. It's not the
It's
first
like
time where they beat us first and then we beat them later.
exactly
Just
that.
saying.
I don't know. I just think there's something special again. The Canadian team, they're problem solvers. They may
Yeah.
be slightly late starters in this sense, but I think we're gonna
But
get their number at the end of the day. I
Oh, I hope
genuinely
so.
just
I hope
there's
so. Cool.
too much talent.
the only thing I would think why US is going to win it all, and I'm not just saying that, but when you're playing for someone like Johnny Gaudreau, there's a lot of passion
Mhm.
in you and love and respect for this guy, and I think this team wants to win it for him, and that's
Yeah,
their
1,000%.
motivation.
Yeah,
Aside of pride
1,000%.
aside of the pride and the booze and all that crap and the politics, this whole Johnny Gaudreau thing is lighting them up even more
Oh yeah,
than
yeah.
anybody. So
It's gonna be tough. Yeah,
it's gonna
a
be tough
thousand
to beat.
percent. It's gonna be tough to beat 1,000%. I think I'm good to go, boys. I listen, and I'm happy you guys gave in your thoughts a little bit on the whole political things behind the game, or this game at least, not behind the game of hockey, but between Canada and USA. Like I went outside of our comfort zone a little bit, and we don't discuss politics, but I feel like it's something we kind of have to address because it's the unfortunate reality going on within the game of hockey during this tournament. When the NHL officially comes back, we'll have something else to talk about. And I want to leave it on that note. I'm surprised no trades have been made yet, but I truly believe GMs have been talking like crazy. So if trades aren't going to be made during this tournament, I have a feeling a bunch is gonna happen after this tournament. So that's it, boys. Listen,
Sir.
we wanna thank our sponsor Habs Cave and our boy Sunil for sponsoring the Curfew Boys, who's been at these games and is providing some awesome content and footage. So a big shout out to our sponsor Habs Cave for this episode. And we want to thank you all for tuning in on this episode of the Curfew Boys. Listen, we all don't like talking about politics, but you can always share your thoughts with us. And if you enjoyed what you saw on YouTube, click like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and join us or add us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok.
And X. TikTok. Yes, we're on TikTok.
Twitter, TikTok. We said that. There you go. Boys, enjoy the rest of this snowy blizzard night. Don't break your backs too much shoveling. We'll see what Monday morning looks like when we all wake up. But don't forget,
It's white. It's going to be very white. That's all I know.
It's gonna be exactly. Don't forget Canada versus Finland at 12:30 Eastern Time. Go Canada! Let's go, boys. We need this win, and then we'll worry about the finals against the United States.
Absolutely.
You guys are good.
Until next
Yes,
time.
sir.
Until next time.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Good night.